Hello and welcome to the NevilleResearch.com video. Today I want to do an introduction to the Northumberland Manuscript. And when I say that, I'm referring to the front cover. That is the part of the manuscript that has attracted the most attention. So I want to sort of survey it for you, give you an idea of what is where, and sort of dispel some myths about what is going on. A lot of people have not actually looked at it carefully or are not familiar with reading secretary hand, so they're not sure of what is on the manuscript. So I'm going to take you through it and show you the different aspects of it so you can have a good idea of what's going on. And in later videos, I'll take you through a comparison with Henry Neville's handwriting and some other analysis of its contents to try to get a fix on what might be happening here. Now, as you can see here, the manuscript was damaged by fire. So, as you can see here, it was damaged by fire. So you can look down and see that quite a bit of this is missing. So we don't have all the information we would have if we had the whole piece of paper. There's plenty to examine without the rest of it, but if we had more, it would be better, obviously. So let's zoom in as good as we have. And the most important and most notable part of this are this and this, okay? Now, this first letter, these appear to be the same thing written two times. This is an N, and this is an N for sure. This is an E, and this is probably an E. It's hard to see. This is a U or a V, and this is a U or a V. It's hard to see. This is very obviously ILL, okay? So there's no question that this word is Neville. And everyone who's looked at this manuscript has agreed that this word is Neville. And this word is parallel, and this looks like two L's. So this is almost certainly Neville also. But the thing they've missed, and I think it's just because the photography hasn't been good enough, is that this is an S. And the exact same S is written up here. So what does this say? It says Neville's. Okay? Both of them say Neville's. So this is very, very, very strong evidence that Henry Neville or somebody else named Neville owned this manuscript. Now, this is written in secretary hand. Henry Neville always signed his name in italic. So this is not Henry Neville's signature. It looks like it could be Henry Neville's handwriting, but we're not sure about that. But it's almost for sure that this says Neville's. I think it's for sure that they both say Neville's. And that implies very strongly the possibility that Henry Neville owned it. Now, as is also very well known and no one disputes, the Neville family motto, Ne Vile Velis, is written twice on this document. So this is the same N, this is an E, this is a V with a big flourish, this is an I, L, E, this isn't a V again, this is another E, L, I, S. This handwriting is, I haven't seen flourishes this dramatic from Henry Neville for the V, but this is completely consistent with this handwriting. And if you note that this E and this E are slightly different, he also varies his E's a great deal. So this is completely consistent with Henry Neville's handwriting. This one is a little hard to read, but it definitely says the same thing. And so we have twice written the motto of Henry Neville's family. So we have Neville's written twice and the motto of the family written twice. Now, this is a mystery. And I have worked with experts in Latin, experts in paleography of the era, and I have not been able to come with a complete solution to what this word is. This thing here is some kind of abbreviation mark. Okay? This looks like a D. This looks like an N. This looks like an A. This is an M. This is probably an O. This is an M. This is an E. This is an N. And all this, what does this say? It's probably a Latin word. Momen. It's probably some kind of reference to a memorandum or something. I'm not exactly sure. So we're working on this. If you have ideas, please let me know. Okay? There's some other very interesting stuff here. There's a Latin poem written out here. There's this, which relates to Love's Labour's Lost. If you go down here, there's just a lot of soup. There's a quote from Rape of Lucrece here. I guess with one word slightly different. These are some of the main things that people are interested in. Now, the very exciting thing and crazy thing about this document, and you may have noticed it already, is the name William Shakespeare is written over and over again. So this is William. This is Shakespeare. This is Shakespeare here. Shakespeare here is written here. This is William. This is Shakespeare. William Shakespeare. William, partial last name. This is Will at the bottom here. So it's written many times. There's not a rhyme or reason to this. These are scribbles. So whoever was hanging out with this piece of paper, for whatever reason, decided to write the name William Shakespeare a bunch of times, and the handwriting is different each time. So this is a capital S, this capital S, and this capital S are completely different. Okay? This H and this H are completely different. The Williams tend to be a little bit closer, but the way Shakespeare is written varies, and the letters vary, and the way they're written vary. Here is Shakespeare, and this S is extremely different from the other ones. Okay? So who's ever doing this is varying their handwriting purposely. The name Francis Bacon is also written all over the document, but part of the issue there, and this is what I want to let people understand, this is not just a scrap of paper with random things written on it. Okay? This is a cover to a manuscript, and it's a table of contents. So up here, it's very hard to read. It says, this is Mr. Francis Bacon, tribute or giving what is due. Okay? This is the title of a series of essays. Okay? So he has, this is worthiest. You can read it here. The praise of the worthiest power. Okay? And there's 4 essays listed here, and those essays are included in the manuscript. So if you go to the next pages, you can read these essays, and this table of contents is also repeated. Okay? So what it seems to me is that this piece of paper initially had this section, and this is sort of fancy writing, and there's these little ornaments and stuff. So it looks like somebody prepared these essays and did some fancy writing on the cover, and then somebody else added documents later, and then scribbled all over it. So there's more documents listed here, different names of different things. And let's zoom in so we can actually read them and see what they're saying here. So I'm not going to go over all these now, but there are a few that are very, very important. So this says William Shakespeare again. This says Richard II and Richard III. Okay? So what most people assume is that the plays, William Shakespeare's plays, Richard II and Richard III, were included in this collection of documents. And there's another play called Asmund and Cornelia. Okay? And that's actually written here again, Asmund and Cornelia. And people think that this might be a lost play, and perhaps even a lost play of Shakespeare's. And then Isle of Dogs is written here, and the name Thomas Nash, who wrote it. Actually, it says Thomas Nash and inferior, people say this as players. So I guess the idea is that it was co-authored, and Thomas Nash, whoever wrote this, thought Thomas Nash was an excellent author, and whoever helped write the play wasn't as good as him. So this is very interesting. So this document is filled with interesting stuff. The scribbles are all over the place. The name Francis Bacon is written a lot of times. Like here's the word Francis, just randomly written here. The word Thomas is written all over the place. Here's Thomas. Here's Thomas. Just everywhere, things are written. This is part of Thomas, I think. This is part of Thomas. Now, the crazy thing, and a big part of my research, has been if you flip it upside down, there's a lot of stuff written upside down too. Okay, so here's an and. Then we're looking at this upside down now. So this is the, that used to be the bottom. Now this is the top. This is probably the word simple. Your is written many, many times. These are like pen trials. These are like practice writing. These are H's. All kinds of things written like this. When you can discover when you turn it upside down. And this is an important aspect of this too. So you need to look at it both ways. And when you do, you discover even more things. So this document is very complicated and difficult and filled with mysteries, but it's important. It's an incredibly important piece of history relating to the works of Shakespeare. Now, we don't want to speculate too wildly about what exactly all these things mean. We don't want to jump to conclusions about who did the writing. We need to do careful research and evaluate it. But this is an incredibly important document, and almost no research has been done on it. Not for 100 years. Nobody has seriously looked at this document. Why? Because it relates to the Shakespeare authorship question, and people are terrified. Somebody was writing William Shakespeare's name over and over again. There's no other document like it, and there's just nothing else even similar from that period, because this document dates to the mid-1590s. So this is an incredibly important document. It is a key to understanding the solution to the Shakespeare authorship question. Its interpretation is not simple, and it may be we're never going to understand everything about this document, but it deserves way more study than it's getting, and people just don't study it because they're terrified, because this really is one of the key documents, and it will help us understand the reception of the works of Shakespeare, the composition of the works of Shakespeare, the manuscript transmission of the works of Shakespeare before they were printed. All these things are very important to know about. And this is the only evidence we have of these things, only documentary evidence we have. So it needs a lot of careful study. I'm going to do many more videos about the Northumberland manuscript, but I just wanted you to give this general overview so you can get a start in understanding what is where and what it looks like. And like I said, this is the front cover. There's also a back cover that needs to be looked at. And then the manuscript itself has all kinds of writing and documents in it. So this is a very, very understudied issue, and we'll be working with this on this channel in the weeks, months, and probably years to come. So come back often, click like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Thank you so much.